The markets are open.
People always ask, well, why should I bet on Monday? Because you have the perfect number in front of you.
And the numbers are moving.
We've seen this total go from 47 to 49, 49 and a half.
Now you're getting a field goal in a game that was sit and pick 'em for so long.
Let's dive into some Monday morning market moves on BetQL Daily, presented by BetMGM.
I love that open. BetQL Daily, Joe O, Sammy P here. We'll do college football here. NFL coming up in 20 minutes. Monday morning market moves. Also take a look, how can you not, at what happened over the weekend in college football. We chatted a little bit about Georgia, Texas in that one. But, man, we've got to mention Illinois. Those red Grange uniforms were awesome, wasn't it? Were those helmets really cool, the way they were able to pull that off?
It was a really cool beginning of the broadcast, too. I don't know if you saw Nestler brings it in. I think it was Nestler, and I can't remember his partner. Is it Blackledge? So they bring the game in, and it's in the grainy black and white. So they're sitting in the booth holding the microphones, and it looks like an old school television broadcast. And then they go down to Jenny Dell on the sideline, black and white, no color. She's holding a really old school microphone, wearing like this hat from 1935 or whatever. And then as they're getting through the game and breaking down the matchups to watch, Ness says something like, all right, let's go from 1924 to 2024. And the black and white all of a sudden comes full color. It was really cool. They did a good job with the broadcast. And believe it or not, we did not buy this hype because we both talked about betting Illinois on Friday. Sharon Moore came out last week, Thursday and Friday, and said, we're really excited for Jack Tuttle. That's the third quarterback they've been excited for in 8 weeks, Joe. Was anybody buying that they were excited for Jack Tuttle? Give me a break. You were going to lay 4 points, 4.5 points with Sharon Moore on the road, and that number kept going. It got to 5.5, 6, and Michigan was never the right side in the game. Ever. They were never the right side.
As frustrating as a few of the results in the NFL were, which we've been talking about much of this show, did well with college. Those college dogs. We were taking Georgia when that was 4.5, 5. It went back to the 3.5, and they went outright. We were, like you mentioned, there was supposedly sharp money. Michigan, I didn't get it. More in a conference game, favored on the road. No, thank you. We'll take Illinois. We won't overreact to that second half against Purdue in that game. So some of the results went our way in college, so that was pretty good. Man, Indiana, 7-0 now, man. That number was less than a touchdown. That was one of those, boy, just lay it with them right now, going up against Nebraska. You made a good call for the Friday night game to the point where you were getting pissed off. Like, let's just stop it. Let's stop with giving Purdue all this credit. The Oregon 2s, the Oregon 3s are going to smack around the Boilermakers, and Purdue did not scratch on the scoreboard.
It should have been worse, honestly. And I'm glad you brought Purdue, Oregon up. I wasn't even going to go there because it was such a bad game to watch. Yeah. I don't know what planet Tim Brando is living on these days. He comes into the broadcast, and you know how it is. I mean, we watch a lot of these games. You and I have watched thousands of football games. He's trying to sell us Purdue, Oregon. And his thing on Purdue was an exciting young football team with an excellent young coach and a rising star at quarterback. And I'm like, are we on the same planet right now? Purdue didn't score a point in the game. Purdue's going to be 1-11 this year. And this rising star at quarterback played 2 quarters of football in his career against Illinois. They were trying so hard. Actually, I have the quote right here. I have one of the quotes about Brando. He was talking about Walters.
You're so bad.
I tweeted it. No. Here we go. And then we can move on. So Brando's on the call, and it was Devin Gardner was his color analyst, the former Michigan quarterback. And they were talking about Ryan Walters, who's not going to make it out of this season. If he does, he's going to get fired at the end of the year because they're awful. He basically was talking about how Walters is such this offensive guy. And he says, Walters, when he was a kid, was babysat by Eric Bieniemy. So you know that offense is in his DNA. What?
His DNA? He said
What?
DNA?
What? When Walters was growing up in Colorado, you know who his babysitter was? Eric Bieniemy. So you could say offense is in his DNA.
No, you can't. Actually,
That
can't
it,
say that.
I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. Anyways, Indiana, you brought them up. I'm glad you did
Yeah.
because they are a 6.5-point favorite against Washington. The problem, though, is that their quarterback Curtis Rourke is not going to play in this game. That has not stopped people from betting Indiana, which opened -5 yesterday in Vegas. Indiana -5. Without Rourke, it got bet right away to 7. Not even to 6, to 7. So the first limit bet came in, Indiana -5, they moved to 7. Then we came to 6, then back to 7, then back to 5. It's basically sitting 6.5 right now everywhere. So that's sort of a settle point for the market, at least early on a Monday. The way they run the ball, the way they're coached, the defense they're playing. I know Rourke is out, and that sucks because I was trying to make a case for Curtis Rourke to win the Heisman, and that's not going to happen if he's going to miss extended time. But that is a team. That is a complete football team right now. And if you're just betting against Indiana because it's Indiana, you're probably down a lot of money this year betting those games. They are just rolling teams. 31-7, 77-3, 52-14, 42-28, 41-24, 56-7 against Nebraska. They are destroying teams. And people are still betting Indiana without their star quarterback.
Do you remember when Miami, Florida State was a big event? We've got Miami,
Yes.
Florida State this week, and it's the U, favored by 21 points. Florida State lost to Duke this time. They are 1-6 on the season. Florida State, that was a Friday night game. I want to get your thought on Miami because you're a big Canes guy. They win and they cover again on the road. It was an early game against Louisville. I know you saw it. With 5 minutes, people are going to say they got lucky again. And I think you could make that case. It was a matter of inches. Cam Ward, he's going back for the pass. I think they got the call right. But on the field, they call fumble, rumble to the end zone, which I think would have tied it 44, 45, whatever at that point. But man, on the road, I was shocked that they ended up overturning it. His arm is moving forward like an inch or two, so they end up saying it's not a fumble. It was an incomplete pass on Cam Ward. Miami benefits once again. They win and they cover, but that was another sweaty one for the Canes.
I laid 4.5. I felt really good. Miami's up 14. It's the third quarter. They just put together a really, really good drive. It was 80 yards, 6 minutes. They just grinded Louisville down to go up 14. And then in the matter of 5 minutes, Louisville took the ensuing kickoff to the house, and Miami fumbled on like the second play of the next drive. Louisville scores to tie the game. This team's going to kill me. This team's going to kill me. I know. I just need him to go to the playoff. I got him plus 250 to go to the playoff. And I did see this morning Miami minus 300 to make the playoff and Clemson minus 200 to make the playoff. So you might get them both in. That would be an awesome ACC championship game. And the longer in the tooth we get this season, it's starting to get more and more popular. Oh, I'm going to bet Clemson against Miami. Oh, Clemson's beating Miami. We'll see. We'll see. All I will say on Miami is this. It's fun to lay under a touchdown with Miami. It is not fun to lay 21 with Miami. That feels like the unbettable game. It feels like
you're not taking the
unbettable
Noles,
game.
right?
I'm not betting that game.
Okay.
If it was a Friday night game, I would take Florida State money line. But it's not. It's a Saturday game. Miami is a big favorite. Can't get there.
ACC, Clemson plus 125, Miami plus 145. At this moment, which is a better team?
Miami's got more talent. Miami just does Miami things. Miami constantly
Right.
slips on the banana peel. Cam Ward is putting up one of the best seasons we've seen. I mean, you look at what Jaden Daniels did last year, the advanced metrics are even higher for Cam Ward. And Tailgate Tent, who's a very popular creator in the space, he was chronicling this, I think, Saturday or Sunday, that Cam Ward, his advanced stats are higher than the last 7 Heisman winners.
Wow.
Cam Ward is also very erratic. Cam Ward also made a horrible throw against Virginia Tech and a horrible throw against Cal to keep those teams in the game. But look, they keep winning. They're undefeated. I have Miami power rated a smidge higher than Clemson, but Clemson's offense has really found its groove. And we look back at that result week 1 when they lost 34-3 to Georgia, a much different team at this point in time.
For sure. Here's an interesting one with some movement. So that's the games we talk about here on Monday Morning Market Moves. Texas, off the Georgia loss, is going to Vanderbilt. They're betting Vandy a little bit. This number's come down. It opened 19. Some have it down at 17.5. I saw an 18.5 over at BetMGM. So Texas, the heavy road favorite against Vanderbilt, a team that we all remember the shocking moment when they took down Alabama. And don't forget that they also pushed Mizzou to 2 overtimes.
I would not be laying it with Texas. Would
No
not
way.
happen. Usually after you play Alabama, Georgia, there's a physical letdown. Forget the emotional and the mental. After you get pounded in the trenches for 60 minutes against a really good team like Georgia, you're just not the same team the next week. And Vanderbilt did nothing, showed us nothing against Ball State. They won by 10, 24-14 was the final, I believe. Vanderbilt, by design, did nothing. It was the most vanilla game plan possible, and that's what you do when you play Ball State. You just get out of there with a win, and you move on. I like Vandy in the game. Michigan State. The number in the summer was Michigan minus 22 at home. Now, this is the summer number. Michigan coming off a national championship against Michigan State with a new coach and a rebuilding program. The summer number was 22. They opened the game 5.5. So a 17-point adjustment from the summer to now. And believe it or not, the early bets came in on Michigan State from 5.5 down to 5 in Las Vegas right now. I would love 7. 7 would be great. But sharp people that are much sharper than me don't need 7. They are taking the points with Michigan State.
Some bettors are going to come in and just say you take Alabama off the loss. But Alabama's laying 14 against Missouri. And when this happened a few weeks ago, you just take Alabama off the Vanderbilt game. They're at home. Take them against South Carolina. They were a 21-point favorite. They won by 2. That approach did not work last time around. It is very different without Saban. I know we're going to have a call. I know we're going to have a call on tomorrow's show. That happens today on the Feinbaum show, as you mentioned. You want to bite on plus 14.
I'd rather bet Vandy than Mizzou, but You nailed it. You can no longer just blindly back Alabama off a loss without Nick Saban. Just can't happen. They're wired different. And you know what's funny? Somebody would say that, wow, it took Kalen DeBoer 7 weeks to lose everything that Nick Saban built. There's a reason Saban hung him up. Saban could see the cracks in the foundation. Saban didn't want to deal with NIL. It's no fun when everybody else got the gun, right? You've been doing the NIL thing for 20 years. Now everybody else is doing it, and you're out. There's a reason, Joe, Nick Saban left and retired. He saw what was coming there, and DeBoer inherited a team that had some flaws. One other thing, we started this conversation with Illinois. It's a lot of points at Oregon. That's a 3:30 kick on Saturday. Illinois at Oregon. Open 21, got bet to 23, and then bet right back. So they bet it up from 21 to 23, and now 21.5 in the market. I don't know that I would lay over 3 touchdowns with Oregon.